Hey guys, this is YouTube Vids and welcome to Farming Simulator 2015. Just quickly before getting to some of the actual gameplay here, so I'm gonna say I'm recording this audio after the fact. So microphone audio is after the fact, guys. I actually recorded some while I was playing the game, but then I didn't really test it out before I did a whole video. This is an hour-long video, guys, or something approximately close to that. And I didn't test out the audio, and here the game audio on the Xbox completely drowned out my actual voice when I was talking because some of the audio on the game is so loud. Like you literally can't hear me. So I decided to go the route of re-recording just my voiceover on the game. You're not going to hear any audio from the actual game. So that may make it not highly as interesting as it could be. But for the things that we go through today in this video, you're not really missing out on too much in terms of sound. So, yeah. So this is just the intro video that I decided to watch the intro video. It's just showing you all the different things that you can do. Not necessarily everything, I guess, but showing you things you can do. And here, basically, just enter the start menu, press A to start, and then here I decided to choose a career mode. All right, here's where I was just tinkering with the options. I don't know. I was thinking like multiplayer, but man, so of course you start out with choosing a save slot. So there was an empty save slot. I was deciding like if should I go normal or easy. Easy for having played the game for the first time and wanting to be able to kind of coast through a little bit. I chose the easy route since you get more money and workers cost you less money. And I decided to start in Bornholm because it says that map also has a guided tour or a tour that introduces you to the game fundamentals. So that was the reason why I chose Bornholm as the starting spot. So then you basically just kind of shows you some neat little pictures from gameplay, and it takes a minute or so to load this game. So alright, so now the game's finally ready to be played. You go ahead and hit A to start. So it says, hello, welcome to Farming Simulator. Would you like to start a short guided tour? So I said yes, sure. So this is where the guided tour begins. So at first I'm just kind of looking around, trying to get a feel for. I didn't really see the controls right away, so I'm like thinking, what the hell's going on? Like, what do I do? I know obviously use the analog sticks to walk, but I was trying to figure out like if it was going to tell me something. I don't think I realized at first you have to hit A to advance the tutorial. Usually like when you go through tutorials and stuff, like usually the game like has you walk or go to certain key spots and then it just kind of triggers those things by themselves. This one you kind of have to acknowledge the tutorial. So I was trying to press the left analog stick in there because I was thinking, how do I run in this game? Because I'm used to first person or third person shooters where you can sprint clicking in the left analog stick, but that doesn't work on this game. Left analog stick brings up the weather for whatever reason. So then here I was just trying to figure out, it looked like that little round dot they had there, the flashing green light, was inside the house, when in reality it was like down the street over here. I'm like, that was so weird. Like I couldn't. Part of the introduction process of this game is just trying to figure out the map and which way you go and when. So this is a wheat field. So it says this is the one of the fields you own from the very start. Its wheat is conveniently grown to a stage where it can be harvested. So it's time for you to enter the combine harvester and get it started. So I sweep around the side. You press the X button to enter the vehicle. And then it gives you, some help panels here to tell you what to do. So it says, once you approach it, press the X button to enter the vehicle, basically. And then I was pressing LB at the top left. You notice it was toggling different options. So I'm like thinking, okay, what do I do? Turned on the lights just because I could. Tried the back lights. So there was the beacon lights and the lights on the front, like your headlights, basically. and then I was basically just trying to. Oh, I was looking at the bottom right where you have the gas. It tells you got 379 liters in this thing. The zero below it is actually the amount of how full your harvester is. That I learned later on. So I was asking like, what is this? Originally, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, it's zero. It's not the speed. It's something else. But it turns out it's how much you harvested. So now I have to start the header. So he raised the harvester, or the attachment, and then he's got to start the header. Then here I'm like, okay, how do I turn it on? It said LB and X, I believe, is what it said. So, yeah. So now the harvester's been started. So then driving is just like any other game, basically, that you have to drive in on Xbox One, at least. You hold the RT button to accelerate, LT to slow down, brake, reverse. They actually have a cruise control that you can turn on. It looks like it says the left analog stick up or down, I guess. And then but you can also use LB, RB, and X to start cruise control. So it says that it's ready to unload, and then at this point I just said, I was thinking to myself, like, let's just go ahead and keep harvesting more, because I wasn't sure if there was an achievement or something that you get for harvesting like the whole field or something right off the rip. So that was one of the things I was originally talking about, was trying to harvest. And then I kind of go on here about the importance of harvesting in straight lines, and how difficult it might be to be a farmer, just because of the fact that you have to have an eye for, one, you don't want to waste, you don't want to be fuel inefficient. So that's, to me, that's important. Is the reason why you do things in straight lines when you're farming, is because, in theory it should be easy to kind of follow lines. Now, the one thing I don't know is if I'm really harvesting the most efficient way, which I know that seems a little weird. Like, why do I even care? But, I mean, you're trying to if you're IRL, if you're farming, you're going to try to conserve on your resources, right? Because farmers aren't traditionally very rich people, but because they probably wouldn't be farming if they were. But at the same time, like, you still want to make sure you get more bang for your buck. So whatever you're investing in gas and other stuff to power your equipment, you want to make sure that you're getting a good return on investment for that stuff. So as you see, it's going through and it's harvesting all that wheat. It's basically putting it in that big container, essentially, that I'm driving around. So now through these, as I'm going back and forth through these, this wheat field here, I'm just trying to explain that little orange thing at the front on the left side, I'm using that as kind of like my guide point for lining up the straight line. So I'm using the vehicle to gauge my efficiency, like in terms of like the width of what I'm able to harvest per pass, per each pass back and forth. So the only thing I didn't like is the fact that I keep stopping and turning around. This is usually how I don't always cut the grass like that, but I don't cut the grass like that. So usually when I cut the grass, I go in like a kind of an oval shape, if you will, more like a square, but obviously you can't really cut exactly in a square. So it's more of an oval shape where I would go around the whole field, and then as I went around in, kind of a square motion, like you would have basically go around in circles until you get to the very middle, and that's like your last spot. I don't think when you're harvesting that's exactly how you should be harvesting. I think traditionally they harvest in rows like this, but I don't know if if they pulled out of there and if they would go all the way down to the other end and just kind of go in a big square essentially, but just lines. So I don't know. That's something that I have to maybe something for everyone to think about in all this is efficient harvesting or farming practices in general, I should say, because harvesting's part of it, and then later on in the video we get into plowing and cultivating. So, but they start you off at least with one field to harvest. So like I said, I mean, this is kind of a painstaking part of an introduction to this game. So I know this game's not going to be for everyone, guys. Definitely not for everyone. I don't know how many videos I'm really going to have for it. I'm going to try to come up with more interesting videos in the future, but I just literally just started playing this game today, so I was just, just trying to get used to how to play the game. And like I said, unfortunately, I was talking about a lot of different stuff as I progressed through this video originally that I'm may not get to because usually when you record stuff, you just kind of record from shoot from the hip, shoot from the waist, so to speak. So yeah, so I can't remember every little thing I talked about when I was originally going through this. But either way, so yeah, I just keep going back and forth on these lines. It's basically telling you, though, if you look at the bottom, again, it's a pretty good guided tour with a lot of instructions. To me, it was kind of annoying because it seems like it takes up a lot of screen. Like it almost takes up like a third of the screen at the bottom, which is really annoying to me. It's the biggest box in the world. So now it basically says, like, once I met the objective of getting to that first question mark, it's like, okay, you can decide if you want to keep going or not. You don't have to, but you can. So that's why I decided to just keep going forward. So I'm still harvesting, and then eventually it took that card at the bottom and took it away, and now it's flashing at the top. Turn off the harvester and drive to the question mark. And I'm like, no, I want to keep picking up more wheat. So if you look at the bottom right corner right now, you can see that there's like a percentage and then there's a number, which I'm not sure. At this point, I was asking myself, like, I don't know what that number is supposed to represent. If that's pounds or like what exactly that is, I have no idea, because it doesn't provide a weight scale or like like how it's being measured. So you have no idea. Like, I don't know what that number is, if it's just like a number just for the sake of being a number. So like, oh, if I get to 4,000, then I know I'm full. You know what I'm saying? The percentage is kind of a small text, so it's hard to see, but it's at 75% right there. So, and I feel like I got to full like pretty quick. Like I was here and I'm like, oh, we can do this whole thing in one shot and still probably have room available in this thing. But I do get to the point when harvesting this field here that I get like mostly full, and so I have to go empty it out. So we'll see that process here pretty shortly. It was just really weird because it seemed like the percentage just skyrocketed on me when I was playing this. And if you guys hear like some type of kind of blowing noise or buzzing noise or something like that, it's just my fan. I got this big fan on under my desk, so it's semi close to the microphone, but hopefully I don't think it's enough to drown out my voice or drown out anything else. Like I said, you're not going to hear any of the game audio because I didn't want to turn it on because some of it's me trying to talk, and I'm trying to talk over the audio in the game or something, so it just comes off as like just a bunch of mumbling and then like really loud game audio. So I'm not gonna have the audio on, but future videos I'll make sure that I got the microphone sound worked out over the game audio, so I'm not like fighting for my voice to be heard. So here we go. Now this is I think the part where I was like, holy crap, how did I get to 92%? Like I just went down a couple rows. It seemed like it took forever even just to get to that point, and we had gone through and sown or had harvested like so many lines prior to that. I was like, how the heck did this thing fill up so quick just after like 3 lines basically? It was like the weirdest thing. So I think after this line I go and take it over to the truck where the stuff gets emptied out. So it's at 96% right there. Oh, sorry, 98%, my bad. So again, you see the number down there, 4151. Like again, I have no idea what that means. So I turned off the harvester, if you notice, and then so I'll get to this question mark because it says go to the question mark. So it says deploy the harvester's pipe if it hasn't been moved out by itself already, and move your combine so the pipe is positioned right over the trailer. So basically, a big pipe. If you see there's a thing with a black tip on the left side of this vehicle. When I go to activate this pipe, it swings out to the left. I didn't realize that when I opened it the first time, like what the heck it was gonna do, because of course I've never used a vehicle like this in my life. So I was like, oh, I wasn't sure like how I was gonna fuel dump into the truck here. So this is basically, like a hauling or utility truck or whatever you want to call it. I'm not really sure the uh, correct verbiage or name for this type of truck, but to me it's kind of like utility truck. So basically you just leave the pipe open, and then you can see at the bottom right the amount of wheat that I've collected is going down extremely fast. So it's basically just emptying all the wheat into this truck. So then it also says if you want, you can go back and harvest more wheat and unload it until the trailer is full. So me being me, I said, okay, let's close this thing and let's go back and finish the rest of this field. I mean, there's basically like 4 rows left, so I'm like, just go ahead and finish this thing off. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a lazy bum. Finish it off. So one of the things that I was asking during the video, except for I asked it kind of late when I was later on when I was going through uh and doing some other some of the other tasks on the farm. One thing I was asking that I really would be interested in is how many people watching this right now have ever have ever been responsible or partly responsible or helpful in gardening with their parents or even by yourself. Have you ever created a garden on your own, or have your parents created a garden and you contributed to it? Some questions I want to ask is, hey, what kind of things did you plant in your garden, and where did you get a lot of, did you get as much out of it as you thought you put into it? Or did it fail completely? Why do you think it failed completely? If it was successful, why do you think it was successful? I'd be interested in some comments from you guys on any experience that you have in gardening or farming. If you've ever been on a farm, I personally can say I've never been on a farm and done anything related to farming other than just what I do in my garden. If you've ever been on a farm, let me know, because I would be interested in hearing stories from people who've actually worked on a farm, or just hearing the experience, knowing about the experience. I've got a friend at work whose kids and his wife every July 4th for like, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 years used to go to like a family member's farm, and they would help them bale hay. So, and I guess it's considered to be a pretty dangerous thing to do. So my friend from work is a dude I know. He was always worried like they could actually injure themselves doing that, because it's not exactly a safe thing. So, and here's where I was singing. I'm like, it's Farmer Baker. I'm Farmer Baker collecting my wheat. It's funny they actually show you a guy in the truck. It kind of reminds me of Gold Rush a little bit. It kind of has a similar feel to it, except for it feels less clunky than Gold Rush. But the idea of having this guy who represents you, Gold Rush has the same type of deal where you can see some guy, but you're normally walking in first person, so you don't ever really see yourself other than if you're driving a vehicle. So that is one thing to me in this game was similar to Gold Rush. So okay, so I finished harvesting the rest of that field, and then so I opened up the pipe again here on this thing to try to funnel out the rest of this wheat that I collected. I'm trying to like disperse it so it doesn't overfill to one side. I don't know if the game just kind of fills it over, but it seems like it's got some type of physics there where it didn't just, it didn't just like go, it wasn't just completely flat when it filled up like some games would do. So the game's certainly not doing that much to help you. You have to kind of do some stuff on your own here. So now it said, go to the question mark and get in this tractor to escort your trailer to where it needs to go. So I get in the tractor. It says you have to attach the trailer, so I backed up a little bit. Although technically, I don't even know if I needed to do that. You just basically push the A button and it just attaches it. I was kind of used. I thought it was gonna send me into like almost like a mini game like they have for freaking Gold Rush, where you have to be so close and have to be in such proximity, and you have to get out and go and interact with it to put it on the hitch and all that stuff. So I'm glad I didn't have to do all that. Then I was trying to find. I saw the glowing thing, but it looked like it was at the bottom of the map, which it is. But the weird thing is that the bottom of the map was to the west. So that was one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit here about the game, was like, I feel like if you're showing me something at the bottom of the map like that when I'm coming straight out of somewhere, like, that should be like south or right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, it just seems weird that I'm going the opposite direction in which the thing is blinking to get there. And maybe it's just a learning curve for the map. Because it seems like for the most part it stays. I don't think it rotates when you turn, so... No, it doesn't rotate when you turn, so it's trying to give you like a pretty flat view, but I felt like it was just weird that... Typically for me, if you needed to go to that spot in most games, I think that you actually would go to the right instead of the left in that case, but maybe that's just me thinking that... So here I turned in the wrong spot, and I was like, oh crap, now I gotta try to back this thing up. Can you imagine, like, if you're hauling something and you have to back up? Oh, that's gotta be the worst, because then you have to worry about, like, if you're going left, this thing's going right. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have a pretty steady steering capabilities and know, like, something about physics, where this trailer's gonna go when you're backing up. So this explains like how you make money. So basically this just says, hey, when you got a bunch of stuff that you want to sell, bring it in this little trailer thing and come drive it over this little set of bars or whatever down there. So it says put your harvest on there, so that's completely on there. And then you hit the A button to unload it. So here I was trying to figure out, like, oh, what do I got to do? But no, it just tilts it over and then it dumps it out the side. So you see it all disappearing, dumped it out of the side, picks it back up, and it says I sold it all. I got like $7,000 there for my wheat. So then here it's talking about switching vehicles. So just like, and again, this reminded me of Gold Rush, because Gold Rush does the same thing. You can use the D-pad to cycle through different vehicles on your property, which was a very cool feature, so that you don't have to walk or drive, maybe a vehicle that you have at a certain area for a certain reason. You don't need to drive like 10 miles to the other thing just to get another vehicle. So this is talking about cultivating fields. So this is it says that this field has been harvested, but it hasn't been cultivated. So first you need to cultivate the field. I mean, I look at it as if like you're plowing it basically, but you're cultivating the field. So you're basically redigging these indentations, if you will, like you see on the field right now. So it's grinding in some new indentations there for you to do the sowing. So I was trying to get a feel for the steering here, and I'm like, whoa, I'm going way to the left. So I needed to drag more to the right, so I'd make sure I'm covering the right amount of distance with my cultivator in the back there. So I get to the question mark, and basically it says, okay, that's pretty much all you need to do. You can finish it later if you want. So then it's telling me to, okay, go to the next vehicle, get out. You got to get out to activate the question mark. And so now this is a tutorial for sowing field, which again is not overly complex. So it says get in the machine and then drive up to where the seed pallets are at. So if you can see, they're right to the immediate right. So maybe like, 10 feet in front of us. There's the seed pallets, and that tells you how to fill the machine. So it was empty by default. and it says use the RB button to fill the sewing machine. Not like sewing is in like sewing clothes, but sewing is in planting. You know, have you ever sowed a seed? That's what they're talking about. So now it says, okay, now it's got all the stuff in there. And so what I was asking myself right then and there was I was pointing out, well, they've got like these 4 different bags of seeds, but I don't know. I was trying to figure out like how do I choose which seed I use. So I was like, I'm not sure like at this point like how the heck I determine what I'm going to be planting here. Like I have no idea what I just picked up either. So basically, so now I have to drive the sewing machine to the spot on the field where the stuff hasn't been planted. And I was originally looking right there, and I'm like, wait, that's the stuff that we just harvested. So I certainly can't plant in that, right? So I was a little confused, I think, right here. I'm like, this doesn't seem like that makes sense. And then I was like, no, it doesn't, because I need to cultivate and then plow that field, basically, or whatever. So I was getting the sewing machine ready. So this one was just a plot of land that happened to be cultivated. So then you have to lower the machine to start the sewing process. So I lowered the machine down. Made sure it was started, because that was a key thing too, is I had to make sure it was started. And then you begin the sewing process. So you see the question mark ahead. Basically, they don't, for the tutorial part of this, they don't really ask you to do a whole lot. Because according to them right there, that was exactly enough to do. And then I was like, wait, why are they making me doing half-assed work? So it says if you want to learn more about the general workflow, visit tutorials from the main menu. So these are the last pointers of the game where basically it takes me to a vehicle shop. So basically just reading the text here. So vehicle shop is just something you can activate in person by going and standing on the question mark by the shop, or there's different in-game buttons that you can use to trigger it. I believe you still have to be in the vicinity, I believe, of the shop. It's just that there's different ways to trigger opening the shop list. So here I was just looking through like the different type of sewing machines they have and noticing like the fruit types here. Some have like multiple fruit types specified. The cheaper one has like the most listed, but then this one that's like 50 grand has like a couple fewer. And so I'm like, okay, so the main difference I would think is mainly capacity. Yeah, the capacity is much larger, but there's only certain types of food that they can sow. So not all of them can sow all types of food. So it's kind of like you have to, if you want good ROI, make sure that you're investing in stuff that can be used for everything, as much as possible, so you're not having to have too many specific types of machines. At least in the beginning, if you become a farming tycoon, then sure, spend money however the hell you want. You just buy all the machines in the world to be, to maybe you farm more efficiently with certain machines, with certain crops. And that might make sense like later in the game once you've developed your farm quite a bit. But for the beginning part, obviously you're more interested in racking up money than wasting it. So this says the end of the tour. It says you can go to the phone booths, I guess. It said for more tutorial information, or just go back to the main menu and then activate more tutorials there. So I decided to go back to this plot that just needed cultivating, and decided to. I ended up doing like 60% of this field cultivating. So I know I spent some time here just kind of BSing about some stuff. Oh, one of the things I did want to mention. So actually, while this is going on, and again, like I know this part of the game isn't all that exciting. But I did want to mention that there's oh, I was going to mention that on. So I have Sling TV, and I don't think most other people do. You have probably cable or something like that. But one of the things that I wanted to mention was that if you have Sling TV, so Sling TV sent out an email today mentioning that apparently HBO is trying to charge them more for being able to host or have an HBO channel on their app, um, or in their channel lineup. And so they said, well, to avoid passing that cost down to the consumers, or making a change that's they desired to not have the consumers take on, they said we're just going to remove the channel altogether. So if you have Sling TV, they're basically removing the option to add HBO, HBO Now or Go, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know what the hell they call it, anyways. But I think it's HBO. I think it's kind of like HBO Now, but not really. I'm not sure what the hell it's called. It was HBO Go, but now HBO Go seems to direct you to HBO Now, so I have no idea like what's going on with all that. But either way, so that's coming off. Fortunately, I have Amazon Prime. So with Amazon Prime, you can actually order HBO for the same $14.99 a month. Um, that's what it was before. So I don't know like how they were trying to increase the price just for Sling for whatever reason. Um, but again, they have it on Amazon Prime, so I just told Sling, I said, just make sure that you cancel it, which I need to probably ask them about it again tomorrow because I'm a little sketchy on whether or not they're actually going to remove it from the account or not. But either way, they're like, okay, well, we're just going to remove it, but then they have like, and then like, if we can get it back, then we'll get it back and then we'll do some prorated charging and all this crazy stuff. Or they said if you cancel like in the next or you can cancel within the next seven days and you won't get the prorated fee, but you'll basically not have HBO back right away if it comes back. And so that's why I contacted them today and was like, okay, so what I try to do is I try to go remove HBO from my the subscription list, but it's not listed as an option to remove. So I had to contact support, and they were like, "Oh yeah, they removed it from the product list." And I said, "Okay, well then, how can I remove it? Because I want to make sure I'm not charged. They start charging me again when it comes back or if it comes back." And they said, "Okay, well let me check on that." And they said, "No, they won't automatically add it back when it comes back." But their email doesn't really say that. It says you have 7 days to remove it. Otherwise, if it comes back, then you get charged a prorated charge based on the fact that it came back or something. So I don't know. I just don't want to have to worry about some weird bill. So I said just cancel HBO altogether. I want to get rid of that from Sling, and then I'll just get it through Amazon Prime. So I was gonna go through HBO directly. But one of the issues I thought I saw was that like it mentioned like they have an app on for iOS and for Android, but they didn't show like they had an app for Xbox One and stuff like that. So I was a little concerned like, well, how am I supposed to watch this then if they didn't really seem to have ways that they weren't advertising like an Xbox One app or they mentioned PlayStation Vue or whatever, but they didn't mention Xbox One. So I don't know that if it's even available there. I'm not really sure. If it is, then their advertising at HBO is completely horrible. But either way, so I got it. I just went through Amazon Prime because I figured, well, Amazon's not gonna have an issue making deals with HBO over a few bucks or something, and they're not gonna most likely try to pass that down to us as the consumer. So plus I have a Prime membership with them already, so you get it with Amazon Prime. You can buy the HBO channel as an extension to your Amazon Prime video subscription. So it was a pretty much a no-brainer for me. So plus it's one less like additional thing that I have to download, like additional app. Oh, for HBO I have to go here, for everything else I have to go there. I'm already kind of have to do that a little bit, but So here in the video, I was trying to figure out, I was trying to put this thing in cruise control, and then it kept getting out. But like cruise control, you have to press like LB, RB, and then X, and you can't be completely stopped to start it. You have to be going a little bit, but you can't be like in full acceleration to put yourself in cruise control. It was like the weirdest thing. Or I don't know, I think, because it said something about up on the left stick too, though. I don't think I remembered that here, so that may have been part of it, because I felt like, it just felt to me like when I would accelerate fast, it wouldn't let me put it into cruise control, but only when I was moving slow. So I don't, maybe I was pushing different, I was interacting with the controller differently, and then there I just ended up getting out while the thing's still driving by accident. Trying to take it out of cruise control. So I was just messing around with the controls here, trying to get through this. But yeah, again, I'm gonna mention, if you didn't catch it in the first time in the video or asked, like, hey, you know, if you've done anything with farming or gardening or anything like that, guys, be sure to leave a comment, leave some comments for me, you know, in the comment section. You know, let me know like what you've done and how much of it you did, what kind of experience you had, how successful it was or wasn't, you know, any kind of priceless humor that might come out of your first attempts at trying to plant something. And I'm talking about vegetation, not flowers and stuff like that. Flowers are actually kind of easy to grow to some extent. I shouldn't say all of them are, but flowers are somewhat easy to grow, I guess. I'm talking about food that you have to actually eat. So I would like to know, like, well, what did you plant? What did you grow? Did you have an opportunity to actually eat the food that you grew or planted yourself? One thing I think I mentioned earlier in the video, like I've never used any of these types of machinery before myself personally. Like I said, I've got a small garden, relatively small, I guess. It's not exactly a farm I own or anything like that, but one of the things that struck my mind is, you know what, doing this kind of stuff, this is tedious work for a farmer when you think about it. Just sitting here driving back and forth in rows, trying to eyeball it up, trying to make sure you you know, you don't miss out on some huge gaping patch of you know, the field. You don't want to screw things up. You got to keep things nice and tidy and neat. So your sowing process and everything that comes after you're cultivating, you know, all that is as straightforward as possible. And it also, I have to imagine, farming to an extent, depending upon if you have urgent matters, you know, farming, I would imagine, should be pretty could be pretty relaxing. You know, just driving around in this thing, just doing what you're doing. I mean, can you imagine someone does this like for a job all day every day, you know, or maybe once every couple of weeks, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's like that's it's pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing that you know, people do stuff like this for a living. So it should give you a good appreciation for the food you eat, especially all your vegetables and stuff. You know, that's primarily what these guys are growing here, right? So like when you eat corn and everything, man, carrots, all that stuff, like that stuff takes time and effort and patience. You gotta wait, you know, for planting it, for growing it. Growing it's the worst part, just waiting, you know, not knowing if everything's gonna come out okay or not. Now, granted, these guys, farmers, probably got this crap down to a science, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a different situation. But if it was just like me planting stuff, sometimes you don't know what kind of yield you're gonna get with your crops. So that's always something that, you know, you have to be considerate of, or thoughtful of, or just thinking of. Excuse me. So yeah, so here's I get through about like 60% of this field here. So what else is going on? So not much. This is game pretty much. Gamer, if you watch this video, which I highly doubt you will, because you're just not a committed fan, But you know, if you do happen to watch this video, man, you'll have to let me know if you've done anything like this before. That would be interesting to know. I think I stop maybe after 2 more lines, maybe, or do I stop here? No, I keep going. Yeah, I stop pretty soon. I think it's like one or two more, a couple more lines. Because I'm like, I got through like 60% of this. It's slow, man. This is what I was talking about. I was thinking about hiring workers. You know, I was thinking a potential strategy. One strategy you could have is if you can hire workers like you can in Gold Rush. You can hire a worker to do a very specific thing or mine gold at a very specific place, but you hire them to use like very specific. You can hire them to use very specific equipment as well. So here, I'm wondering if you can hire a worker. It would be nice to see if you can hire a worker. Just, hey, you just do cultivating, and hey, you just do sowing. You know, where that way, like, you leave your responsibility at the end is just harvesting everything, and then everyone else does all the setup. You know, that way, like, when you're not harvesting food, you can go do other things and spend your time learning other things about the game, you know, or dealing with the livestock and stuff like that. So I think that would be I think that's like a pretty good plan for this game if you played it. Wow, still some more? Dang. But yeah, I think that's a strategy I'm going to use for this game though, is just trying to find a way, see what it costs to hire these workers, and see if you can hire them for specific specialties, and then assign them those things, and then just kind of let them do whatever they do from there. Oh man, I picked up eggnog this week. Oh, eggnog is so good. I don't know about any of you, but I love eggnog. It is like, I love that around the holidays. I drink that stuff like crazy. Usually I end up buying it, and I usually end up not drinking all of it. Like, I buy like I don't know, like a half gallon. You know, basically, if you've ever seen a half gallon of milk, you know what a half gallon of eggnog looks like. Actually, I don't know. Is it? No, that can't be a half gallon. It's got to be more like a fourth of a gallon or something like that. Whatever it is, it's a smaller container. Either way, so I buy like that much eggnog, and then of course you got to drink it with nutmeg. You got to get your nutmeg in there. But yeah, dude, I love eggnog so much. All right, so this is the part I think. Yeah, I said okay. I did 60% of the field. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the sewing machine here. So, oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but at the beginning, when I first started sewing, I forgot to mention this. So there was a button. I think I clicked RB. And then it gives you an option to cycle through like the type of food you can plant. So if you look on the bottom right, that little silhouette icon is shaped like corn. So you press RB and it rotates through the different, I think it was RB, and it rotates through the different types of seeds that you can plant. And then you just stop pressing the button for the one that you do want to plant. So I think you could probably technically come through and do like a bunch of different kinds of seeds if you wanted, but I don't know why you do that, because that would make absolutely no sense. So then here I'm trying to line up the machine. So again, it's about my ROI, how much time I spend doing this versus you know, how quickly I can get it done. You know, that's ideally the objective. So using the machine to sew as wide as possible, so that way I don't need to it's, you know, it's less trips, you know, back and forth, up and down this field. Now, the one thing I did notice is that I don't know if this is intentional by the game or what, but I noticed that it seemed like more when you were going down one way, for some reason it seemed like it kind of like, even though I feel like I'm doing a straight line, it doesn't do exactly a straight line. It kind of like goes in and out a little bit, just like a slight bit, where it's like 3 rows out, but then 3 rows in, and there's some overlap and stuff. Like, I don't really get that game mechanic, if that's supposed to just kind of be like Like, okay, just because you're going in straight lines doesn't mean that it's going to come out in straight lines type of thing, which, I mean, I guess I kind of understand that, but it certainly makes things, I don't know, for me, I got OCD in a way, so it's kind of weird to see, like, you know, I know I went in a straight line, but how come the line's not straight? It's got to be straight. So that's kind of what I was dealing with here, so I was trying to figure that out. But then you can see, like, down there, they've got the fuel, they've got how much corn, they've got how much material you got in there, so you see that the very bottom bar, it's counting down 556, 555, so it's 92% full. So I may not even have had enough corn in this thing to do this whole field. I certainly don't do this whole field here, so we're not going to sit around and watch that. But I do quite a few rows here, so... So yeah, so what else? What else was there in the game? And as you can see, you know, this thing only goes like, this is top speed. This thing's going like 6-7 miles per hour. So it's not like, best I can tell, like that was like me going full speed. So it's not like you're exactly driving like 50 miles an hour to sow your seeds. It's a process, a slow process. Oh, I hit 8 miles an hour because he's going downhill. See that? So I'm driving downhill. So now, you know, I picked up a little bit more speed, but going uphill, looks like his max is 6 in this thing. Real speed racer. So I was thinking, like, so what I'm gonna try to do in this game is, for future videos, I'd like to do some more. So one of the things, guys, look, if you like watching this video, you know, even if you're just doing something else while you're listening to me and kind of looking over every here and there, you know, that's fine. I understand that, like, this type of game is not for everyone, and it's not very exciting to see someone sowing some big freaking field. So in the future, I'm going to try to chop this stuff up in a little bit, but I did want to take some time to show you guys, you know, some full raw footage from the game, so you see how tedious some of this stuff is. So when if I come back with other videos and I'm like, hey, look at all these fully plowed fields, you know how much time I spent, you know, or how fully grown, harvested, you know, or ready to be harvested fields, you know, you're gonna realize how much time and effort went into just even getting things to that point. And like I said, I want to try to find a way to make some quick cash and then get some workers and stuff in here to try to help it not be as tedious for me. I'm perfectly fine going through and doing all the harvesting because that seemed like that was pretty easy. But then the next challenge is going to make sure that the harvester that we have can harvest. I'm assuming it can do more than just wheat, but that's what we're going to find out sooner or later. So, and just so you guys are aware, I recorded this on, it's November 1st, guys. So it's the first of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. God, if you don't know that song, please get a life. Anyway, some Bone Thugs-n-Harmony for you. But yeah, so what else is going on? Is there anything else in this game that I thought I saw? No, not really. Oh, I think I was going to say earlier. So yeah, I guess be sure, like, if you like the game, or just like the idea of me playing through it some more, and of course, you know, work on taking out some of the more less exciting sections of the game. Although you're farming, so I mean, again, it's farming simulator. So I mean, it's, like I said, it's either for you or it's not, or you're probably not going to be somewhere in between. You're going to be on the one side or you're going to be on the other. Yes, this is extremely boring, or no, like, it's not that boring and I can stand watching it or listening to it for an extended period of time. But I'm going to try to keep the more monotonous parts limited. Going forward, so but be sure, if you like this, be sure to leave a comment, guys. Let me know, hey, I like watching these farming videos or whatever, or even just leave a like. Leaving a like is more than enough. If you want to just do that as well, just let me know, like, hey, I like these videos, keep doing more. That is definitely one way to show your support. Or if you want to do in addition to that, or instead of leaving a like, be sure to drop a comment and just say, yo, Baker, love these enthralling farming simulator videos. And I did mention at the beginning, guys, actually good thing, I thought of this now. So Farming Simulator 2018 recently came out. The reason why I'm not playing that version is because it costs money. So I have Xbox Game Pass, and Farming Simulator 2015 has been available on Game Pass for at least a month or two now. So since I already paid for Game Pass, I just downloaded this essentially for free in a sense. Not really free, but you know what I mean. I didn't have to pay to download this so individually. So I had this downloaded and I wanted to play it for a little while now. So now I'm getting to it. So if you have Xbox Game Pass, you can get Farming Simulator 2015 for free. Download it. If you want Farming Simulator 2018, you're going to have to pay for that because that is not on Game Pass. And again, remember, Game Pass, if this was a Microsoft Studios game, or one of the game studios that Microsoft owns, then this game would be available just by default on Game Pass going forward, because that's kind of their general direction as a company. So any of their game studio games should be on Game Pass right away for free. Or maybe they market it different. Maybe there's a delay or something. I don't know. But so games from other studios aren't necessarily going to be on Game Pass like ever. So this one just happened to be. So there's a lot of things. If you don't have Xbox Game Pass, I would certainly consider, if they have a trial or anything like that, to do something like that and just browse through the games they have available, or look for websites that publish like the games available on Game Pass. I don't think anyone could be too disappointed. I think there's a lot of different things on Game Pass for just about everyone. They've got like Tomb Raider, and they've got some sci-fi stuff. They got some kind of like arcade-ish type games. Yeah, so they have a little bit of everything on there. Then like I said, you got some of the Microsoft games on there. You got Halo: The Master Chief Collection. I believe Halo 5 Guardians is on there as well too. I believe. Don't quote me on that one, but the Master Chief Collection definitely is on there. So all the Microsoft games should start getting published on there, according to their last their E3 conference. So Game Pass, they're trying to make it worth it. So if you don't like to buy a lot of games, again, Game Pass is $120 a year. So if you buy 2 games per year, and the games you buy are generally Microsoft titles, or Microsoft, one of Microsoft's game studio titles, then Game Pass is definitely for you, because then you should just be able to spend $120 a year and get $120 a year and get as many games as you want for download. So those ones in the Microsoft library should be on there indefinitely, whereas games from other game studios are on there for a defined period of time. If you're interested in playing the next Division game, the Division 2, that will be a launch title on Game Pass. So if you've played the first Division and you want to play Division 2, and you have other games on Game Pass you want to play for a year, then you might as well get Game Pass. Now, the one thing about Game Pass you have to realize, guys, is that if you download a game on Game Pass and your Game Pass expires, you don't get to play that game anymore. So it's basically the equivalent of renting a game with Game Pass. So it's essentially like a game flyer, if you will, except you're just not having physical media shipped to you. You're just downloading it instead. So it's kind of a similar subscription type process. With perks, of course, if you generally purchase videos or games from Microsoft related development studios. Like Crackdown 3, when it comes out, that should be on Game Pass as well, because that's developed by a Microsoft studio, developers. So that in theory technically is free if you would have bought Crackdown. So I mean, again, it's depending upon the games you like to watch, it could be worth it. It could be very much worth it. You got games you like to watch, games you like to play, like to watch. I don't know why I said watch. I was thinking movies or something. So I think this is where things come to an end, guys. Right here. So, be sure to leave a like, show your support for the channel, guys. Even if you like the video, though, I highly recommend that you drop me a comment. Let me know that you like the idea of me playing this game and publishing more videos related to this game. This game actually has a multiplayer mode, so if you have Game Pass and you have me added on Xbox Live, maybe there's a chance we could play this multiplayer sometime or something. And be sure, again, leave a like to show that you support the video, and if you want to leave a like, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know that you like these types of videos. And if you're extra awesome, you'll do both. So yeah, like I said, this particular video is probably not too entertaining, but I think I showed all the fundamentals of the game through the tutorial and just kind of spent some time exercising some of those fundamental things that I learned today by playing this game. So the next time I play, like I said, I'm gonna try to cut down on a lot of the more boring patches of time. Just plowing and stuff like that is kind of mundane, essentially. It's it's not very exciting at all, or interesting, I should say. So it's not very interesting at all. So yeah, and then I'll try to focus on other game mechanics and stuff like that, hire workers to take care of the trivial stuff for me, and see how far I can get with that. So thank you guys very much for everyone who decided to watch the video all the way to the end, dudes. If you do leave a comment on the video, be sure you let me know that you saw this game through to the end, so I know that you watched the whole thing. But yeah, thanks guys for all your support, dudes, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.